a lot of people, they want to own dogs rather than have children.
If a big brand is manufacturing in a sweatshop and then their story is not that pretty, do you think they can still manufacture a good story, or do you think it just will come off not being authentic? How do you create the perfect meta ad or social ad? Do you have a framework for that?
I think like really knowing your brand, knowing what you want to bring out to the world is the most important.
Hi, I'm Michael from Modular Agency based in Taipei, here with Jean.
Hi.
We're a Taipei-based marketing agency. We do content for some of the biggest tech companies on the planet right now. Very happy to have Annika here, our guest. Annika has her own agency, which has been running for 10 years, design and marketing agency for German clients. And you have a sustainable dogwear brand called Kali, where you are providing clothes for dogs.
Yeah.
Not only
dog
clothes.
Products. Yeah.
Dog products. And it's all from a sustainable standpoint.
I don't use the word sustainable, but eco-friendly, yes. Because I think sustainable is overused, but eco-friendly, yeah.
Yeah, so that's marketing people. We find our own angle. We don't try to beat something into the ground that's overused. Annie has her own eco-friendly dog wear brand, and she has 22 partner shops in 3 years, and the business is growing times 5 in these 3 years. And what Annie does really well is telling stories, building brands, and growing a business through this process of storytelling. And so she's here to share how that works and what that process looks like. And so hopefully anyone who wants to launch a brand can use this storytelling framework to grow a business. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your story, how you went from agency to dogwear brand and how it's going?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I worked in the agency field for more than 10 years. And then 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I rescued a dog called Kali. And she was poisoned and paralyzed, and I found her in a river, and the Indonesian word for small river is Kali. So then I was in need of some dog products, and I was going through the stores, but I couldn't really find any beautiful product, any sustainable or eco-friendly product, and products that would last. They were all pretty cheaply made, and I was just not happy with what they had to offer. So I thought about just creating my own collar. I started with the collar and looked up materials that are eco-friendly. I found a supplier that basically sells old leftover yarn from the t-shirt factories in Java. So I got a big box of that, not really knowing what I was doing. I tried to find some buckles and clips, and then basically watched YouTube videos, sat down at the kitchen table, and was just doing my own collar. They looked pretty ugly, and I was not too happy, but I was excited that I could easily create my own collar in a more eco-friendly way. And then I started talking about, talk to producers who actually do macrame and knitting art. And they came up with beautiful new collars. And I was like, oh, this is a cool idea. While at the same time, I was already pretty much involved in beach cleanups and just seeing the problem of the pollution here, especially in Bali. And also being involved in rescuing dogs and seeing how much they suffer here. So for me, it was really important that I could combine this all, and it kind of clicked. And I thought, well, if I produce a product for dogs, I can then donate parts of the profits back to street dogs and be part of the cycle instead of only asking for donations, which is not really sustainable and lasting. So then, Kali Dogwear was born. And then from there, we created more and more products.
Yeah, I was looking at your website and the stuff looks pretty high end. I mean, it looks like there's some craftsmanship there. I wanted to buy something, but I don't even have a dog, so it doesn't make sense. But it looks like something I wouldn't mind spending money on. And so obviously you put a lot of work into improving the design, into the production. how did you know there would even be a market for this? Or did you just kind of guess and hope that if you invest, there would be a market for this?
It was a little bit of both, like just some sort of intuition, knowing that there will be a market without doing much of a research, but knowing that my needs weren't fulfilled. I knew there must be more people whose needs are also not fulfilled. And so our niche is being eco-friendly, and we are also more expensive than other products, but we're also more lasting, and we have a vision and mission and like pretty high standards behind that. So I knew that this could really easily take off. And then I started telling people about it, and they were like so on fire, and they were like, yeah, like dog market is one of the biggest markets after the kids market, and there's so much. And then I started doing research also in Europe, and I realized, yeah, there are not many eco-friendly dog brands, and yes, it's a huge market. Mm-hmm. And then I really started believing in it even more and really put a lot of time and effort into it.
Cool. So when you talk to your customers and they're spending quite a lot of money on your products, I think they could get them much cheaper elsewhere, I think. Yeah. So what's driving them to spend more money on this?
It's for sure the story behind it, mm-hmm. of, well, how we started the brand, what value we give and what we give back to street dogs, and how much we actually care about street dogs and dog owners, especially here, but also in other parts of the world. They do care about animals, and they do also naturally care about the environment. So I think that is one big part that you won't get with another brand so easily. So it's really about the whole story that's sitting behind, plus knowing that the products will be lasting. And we even offer like a dog bed repair service. So it's kind of like I call it the Patagonia principle. Oh, so if you buy a dog bed and the dog chews it or whatever, or rips open, because naturally the dog will be on there like 24/7 almost, we want the dog bed to last, and we will repair it for free in like not all cases, but most of the cases. And yeah, I think knowing that that's the story behind our whole brand, that is basically what the customers buy.
I really understand that, because as Annie said about the dog owner market being a big market underneath kids, it's mostly because I think a lot of people, they want to own dogs rather than have children, and they treat their dogs like it's their children, and they will spend more for better quality, good stuff for their dogs, and that's very smart. So I feel like you do have market research, you just don't really notice it because you are like a dog owner yourself, right?
I am, yeah, exactly. And I mean, living here in an environment where all the expats own a dog, like you're basically not really living here if you don't own a dog. Then, I mean, there is a huge market. And I think also with like seeing how it changed during the pandemic, all the shelters in Europe, they were empty. Everyone got a dog. And I mean, some have been brought back after the pandemic, which is really sad. But most of the people who were all of a sudden able to work from home, they have a dog now, and they keep the dog, of course. So I think that the demand is, with the change in the work environment, is just much higher. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this storytelling idea, marketing people always share about storytelling and tell your story. But what I'm curious is, were you intentionally using that as a way to get sales, or did it just come out because that's just what you did and then people were asking you?
It is very natural. Like, it was not my marketing strategy. I didn't sit down like, oh, I have to tell the story, because it is our story. It is like really my heart that's in this company and the story that I'm so passionate about, that I don't have to pretend. I don't have to have a marketing plan. I know what I want to tell. And I mean, dogs just sell automatically. Like cute puppies, they sell automatically. But for everyone outside of Bali or Indonesia that haven't even heard about the suffering of the street dogs here, for them it's really interesting as well to see how we can possibly make a change. And that is one of our big missions as well, to like combine all the forces in Indonesia and really work on changing the laws around animal welfare. So yeah, no, it is just something really natural that I'm passionate about. And then I think it just comes very easily. And it's also, of course, authentic.
Okay, so from a marketing perspective, what do you think are the components of your story that have worked so well? Because I think that it's still a very vague concept. What is storytelling?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what helped us, well, it's for sure there's a problem. We have a solution. And then also, I think just really, authentically sharing. We also sometimes share like what's going on behind the scenes. We are sharing our price policy, how we are pricing our products. Why are they actually so expensive? What we're struggling with, and that why don't we say sustainable if that's like the word to use? Why do we say eco-friendly? Because we're not perfect, and we're just, I think it's really about being authentic and being honest about, and also humble of what we actually do, and also knowing we can always do better. But it also takes time, and you can't be 100% perfect from the start. It's just not possible. And I think that is what our customers really value. And like, that's what the feedback that we get, that everyone's like, wow, thanks for sharing this. So open, so honest, so raw. So I think that is probably, these are the main parts of the storytelling.
Because meanwhile, you're sharing some of your imperfections publicly. Your business is growing. You said 5x over 3 years. So obviously it shows that it doesn't matter if you're not perfect, and you don't have to show like this perfect side, polished side, and you could still sell. Or maybe would you say that it's actually to your advantage that you're being so transparent?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Because I think everyone knows deep down that no one is perfect. But no one wants to be lied to. And I mean, marketing is a lot about, making it look nice and telling the right story. But in the end, people are smart. And if they see, it's just for marketing purposes, they will get you. But if they really do believe that this is your honest truth, then it's really what works.
Right.
Yeah.
I identify with that.
Yeah. And I think the imperfection, especially the imperfection that can identify, because they know we're all human and it's part of it.
Okay. So for people who want to launch their own, let's say, eco-friendly business, or let's just say it's not even an eco-friendly business, but a product business, how do you think they can use storytelling? What's a framework they can use? You mentioned something like solving a problem, being transparent, but could you give us some framework that we could follow?
I think that especially nowadays, people want to be part of a brand. They want to identify. They want to see also the faces. Like every time I show my face and tell a story on Instagram, I can just see how it just resonates with everyone. They don't want a clean, clear brand. They want some, like a soul behind it. So I think that is also one major part of the storytelling, that they want to feel like they're part of it, and they're like taken by the hand. Come on, follow us. You're in this as well.
So how do you make the viewer become part of the story then? Getting deep in these questions.
How do I make the part of this? Well, I think one part is that we often do surveys of like what like product they would like to see next, what designs they prefer, what they think about, being sustainable or eco-friendly, what is like the major part of that, so that they feel like they have a saying in it as well. And they do, because I really do care honestly about all of our surveys, and it's just feedback for us, and we know which way to go. And then I think making them feel part as well is kind of taking them on a ride with, this is how we work, and like, oh, we rescued another dog. Do you want to like look behind the scenes? And this, it's not nice, and it's painful, and like we share all the pain as well, of what's going on behind the scenes too. So I think that's probably part of it as well. And then just also being in contact with them, like organizing beach cleanups and like seeing the people and talking to them, and that is still a little bit strange for me, that sometimes people walk up to me like, oh, you're a Cardi Dog fan. I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then we just chat about the general idea. And I think once you're passionate about a topic, it just comes naturally that they just feel the fire, and then they feel the passion in the
Are you doing that on your store, showing behind the scenes?
No, actually, I'm a very bad example because I'm marketing the perfect clean cut, everything is perfect lifestyle, but I sell fashion, so clothing, and it's really actually it's not good to have like behind the scenes of the fashion stuff because I'm not designing them and they come from wholesale.
Yeah, so sounds like there's certain stories that are kind of sexy and cool to learn about, but if a big brand is manufacturing in a sweatshop and then their story is not that pretty, do you think they can still manufacture a good story, or do you think it just will come off not being authentic?
It depends. Like, you should for sure not lie and make everything look pretty and like adjust it to your needs. But I think you can always find angles, and even if it's just like, hey, this is the team and we're just sitting in a circle and discussing something. What do you think about? Because we can't find a solution. Or even sharing losses and just telling everyone like, well, we thought that we would grow 2 times this year, but it didn't happen because of, and then sharing that. So like personally, I'm also into personal branding on LinkedIn, and what I see there is that no one wants to hear that everything is good. Like, you can't relate to that. It's almost like a fake world that's also been created on Instagram. No one wants to see that, and people can just relate so much more if there's something that is not perfect. And I think you can find that in every company without making your company look bad.
Mm-hmm. So I think the lesson here is to figure out how you can expose some parts of your business, and that won't really be to the detriment of your business and your sales, but will actually show that you're transparent and showing your customers what's really going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, exactly. I probably got the biggest feedback once we released our pricing and how we price our products, because I was just tired of explaining why our products are so expensive. I was like, well, because they're ethically made. Like, we pay fair salaries, we get high quality materials, and these are the steps for a product to be made. And we basically listed every single price per step of the product, and I was like, well, that's it.
So you showed your entire cost structure to your customers. Yeah. Because I've never seen any brand do that before. So that's interesting.
I've seen that at another brand, and I thought it was just so interesting to see, to really understand it. And then personally, I was so tired, and they were like, yeah, but I can find a dog bed along the street for like 200K. Why is this your 1.2 million rupiah? I was like, wow, it makes menu. But yeah, and I think we're getting more aware of like that good products just cost money, and the cheaper they are, the more people suffer. Like the person who makes the bed, they want to live as well, and the cheaper you make it, I mean, yeah, there's not much left for the tailor in the end.
Yeah.
But well, after you show the customers the cost, so for example, for me, I always have a really bad time at like pricing and cost, because like as you said, people will say I can get something for cheaper. But after you show them and they see like the excess cost, you're paying a better salary to the workers, but do you fear that you'll lose customers because of this, or do you trust in your own value?
Yeah, not at all. And if I lose customers because of that, I mean, I don't really care, to be honest. If they don't understand what we're doing here, that's fine too. And these are not our customers anyways. Yeah.
So it sounds like a big part of your success is actually being part of this sustainable, or let's call it eco-friendly product movement. Yeah. And would you say that it's a good move, a good business move for other brands to maybe launch their eco-friendly product?
If you do it because of marketing reasons, no. If you do it because you believe in it, yes. Yeah.
So the key word here is being transparent and being authentic, which I think we at Modular try to do as well with our clients. We try to be very transparent in what we do and how long it takes, things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of our clients are releasing sustainable products, and then they ask us to do the content for that. So I'm seeing a huge movement right now. And these are like top PC companies in the world who are launching their sustainable mouse and keyboards and things like that, ocean plastic. So yeah, I'm seeing like, I think in this year and beyond, this is going to be a big thing that we see again and again. And it's very cool that the people are willing to pay higher prices to be sustainable, because I think a lot of us, we keep watching bad news on the news, but we don't know what we can do about it. Then maybe a sustainable, eco-friendly dog collar is just one small thing we can do, right?
Yeah, and I also do know that we can't serve everyone, but I think that if we keep on changing and like supporting that movement, then at some point it will be the only way to build a brand and build products. And I do also think that if you start a business now, there's no way around of like giving back to something and trying to make this world a little bit better. I think that's everyone's responsibility. And of course, there are businesses that are driven by money, and you have to really, also stick to your prices. But I think there are always ways where you can give back or make this world a little bit better on your own behalf. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks. That's a lot of learnings and very interesting story. So the key thing to do is figure out your story.
Be authentic.
Be authentic. Be transparent. Don't be afraid to show a bit of the rough around the edges sides. And let's try and buy more sustainable stuff, without complaining about the price point.
Great.
So for 5 years, you've been running your own design agency, which does performance ads. And we were talking earlier, that's basically meta ads, and you do the creative part for some big clients. And this is very interesting because like we also do something similar to that, but our purposes have never been for ads, more for like web and Amazon. So maybe you can just share a little bit about how that process works. How do you create the perfect meta ad or social ad? Do you have a framework for that?
Yeah, it's A/B testing.
A/B testing.
It's a little bit of budget that has to go into that, and then we're just testing and testing and testing, and basically we watch the KPIs, we watch the numbers, and then we change and test and iterate until we find the perfect ad. So it's basically, in the end, data-driven creation, if you will say so. We do have, of course, like our ideas, and we know what could work, but we can kind of then like follow a roadmap and then niche it down, iterate again, find the best performing ads, and then iterate. And over like usually around 3 months, we then find the best performing ads, and we can increase the numbers or like improve the performance. And yeah, and then we go from there. There's no tomorrow. Yeah.
How many iterations normally during these 3 months do you need to go through?
A lot. So if I look at the last client, after 2.5 months, we basically got the numbers hacked. We had probably around, I would say, 500 ads and around maybe 8 to 10 iterations.
500 ads for one campaign.
It's one product, and they didn't have just one campaign. It was just ongoing, so ongoing exchange. We basically exchange and iterate like every week-ish, and tested all the formats, the sizes, like is it video, is it still, is it carousel, like all of that. And then of course like messages, colors, what discount, etc., until we kind of brought it down to one really good performing ad. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the client dumps a bunch of money into that ad, and hopefully there's good results. Right?
Yep, exactly.
Pretty cool. I mean, it sounds like a very tiring process, but you have to do it, right?
I don't think it's tiring. I was so excited because every week when we're getting the KPIs, it's like, okay, who's the winner? And then we check the winner and we're like, okay, let's like iterate. We can change this and this and this. So for me, it's just so exciting, to be honest, even though it sounds tiring, but it's absolutely not. And like in the end, we want the numbers to change, and then we reach our goal basically. And that's our little challenge that we had there. So zero tiring, actually.
I think for me, since I do own my own e-commerce, I do my own marketing. But how do you feel about doing your own marketing versus finding your marketing agency to do it for you?
So, yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, for Kali Dogwear, obviously, we do our own designs and marketing. It is, I really enjoy it. And sometimes I also really find it difficult to market your own product and like really niche it down to what's important, because for me everything is important. Like there's this big whole landscape of like, oh, but I need to tell them this and that, and this is important too. So then I usually like ask around and ask the team like, okay, which ad should we do? And like then again like testing all over again, versus having, yeah, personally for my own brand, I would not get a marketing agency involved, only in fields that I don't do, for example, PR or whatever, where someone else is more proficient. But I know my product best. I know what works and like what we've tested. And then on the other hand, being an agency working for other clients, I find that so refreshing, and I think for them as well, because they have been working on that for ages. So they, you know, sometimes you just can't really see through anymore, and then getting a new perspective and even like questioning things and you know, wanting to test a little bit more can be really rewarding for the client itself.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I put on a shirt and I think it looks really good, and then I ask someone and they're like, nah, don't worry about it.
Got that one.
Yeah, I think agencies, kind of their purpose is that at the rawest sense, and then after that it's more production. So that's very cool. And so it sounds like you were able to use this creative experience in an agency then to launch your own brand. And obviously there's a lot of learnings from the agency that you brought over to the brands. For people, here's kind of a big question, but for people who don't have that agency experience, what are kind of like the main learnings from the agency side that you can share for people to want to kind of like be successful in launching a brand?
That is a big question. I guess you have to be very clear on who you are first, like the vision, the mission, your own brand. Like, what do you stand for? What do you want to actually tell everyone? How do you want to be seen? What is your USP? What are your main takeaways? So I think like really knowing your brand, knowing what you want to bring out to the world is the most important. And then you also have to understand, okay, how do your clients actually buy? How do you want to reach them? Because what I realize, and I'm German, so I specifically know the European market, and then coming here, the way people buy is completely different. So like you have to really adjust that to your audience as well. And yeah, according to that, and that's about testing, trying. If you don't know the market, according to that, you then have to see, okay, what marketing actually works, like what type, which area should you focus on, and yeah, preferably do it all, and also find unconventional ways of marketing. And have a lot of content.
Right. Have a content calendar.
Content stack, content calendar. What are the main forms of content you use to spread the word on Kali Dogwear?
It's so we do a lot of Instagram, just posts, images, video reels, but then also blog posts, and then mainly like we do some like content posts about how to bring your dog from Indonesia to Europe, or what you should do when you see a street dog in need, and just following those steps. And that has like really high value actually for our followers, and then it spreads a lot because people share it and they really like to learn about these issues as well. Yeah, so that is mainly it. Like we could do so much more, but that's mainly it.
Right, because you're quite a small team, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and is any one of those content forms working better than others, or you believe it's a combination of everything?
I believe it's a combination of everything, and 100% consistency is key. I do believe that those like content posts about a certain topic, like 6 steps to make your rescue dog feel at home, for example. That works super well. And yeah, I mean, we also know that reels with dogs just naturally work well, like
because they're cute.
I watched tons of those.
So that is really easy, but of course you also have to produce them and like publish them and whatever. And some really take off. We had one that went extremely viral, and it was just lucky. So it's a lot about testing and trying as well what works. Like sometimes the stupidest ideas just work, and sometimes you put a lot of effort in a reel and then nothing happens.
Right. And the one that worked really well, was it something you made or user generated?
Yeah. Yeah. I dug a hole at the beach, put my dog in, and then put some sand on her, and she enjoyed it so much because I think it was just very like comforting to have like the sand on her. So she was just sitting there, and I found this viral sound, put it on it, uploaded it, and yeah, that was probably the combination of like this weird sound plus a dog being in the sand and just being tucked in.
And then was there any like bump in sales once that video went viral, or is it more of a long-term branding?
That's a more long-term branding. We got heaps of followers through that, but a bump in sales is usually actually when I'm speaking in our Instagram stories. Oh, that is really interesting. Like if they see the people behind the brand, and we've got published in Vogue, British Vogue last year. And every time we talk about that, we can see a bump as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So for those marketing geeks out there, because we're marketing geeks, this channel is for marketing geeks, is there any certain social media framework that you could share with us that has helped you to bump your business up 5x? Like a combination of different content types, or
How many times you post?
how many posts per month?
So what we do is we try to post every day, and then we have some sort of like repetitive framework of like a product photo, like an ambience atmosphere photo, a reel, a content post about some certain topic linked to blog posts, and then combined with, we're very active on our stories. It's mainly about lost dogs, or like someone wants to get a dog adopted, and then also telling the followers about our process and like, oh, like check this new product. And because I'm usually really excited when we have a new product and we don't have the photos yet, I just post it on the story, but the followers really like it that they're in the process so early before it has even been launched, and we can generate this kind of excitement as well. Plus getting them involved in the stories with surveys and like, what do you think, and like interact with them. I think it is the mix of all of that has been working really well on Instagram. And then that's mainly social media, what we do there. Like could do so much more as well.
Right. And that's mainly the way you're getting sales, right? Through social media?
Yeah, exactly. Like some of the blog posts that have been then shared in the community, we can usually see an increase in sales as well. And then, people are like, oh, I found you through a friend of mine. And that is usually on Instagram. But I also think that especially working here, Instagram is extremely big here. I do think that there are probably other really good marketing channels in Europe or Australia or USA that work very well too, but Instagram has been such a blessing. Yeah.
So posting something every day, this is interesting because a lot of people I feel like a lot of people want to post once a week, and they might put a lot of effort and resources into that one weekly post, but it's kind of more about a daily post while keeping that quality there at the same time, right?
Yeah, like not every post has to be about like a huge blog post story. I mean, the blog post story, like it really takes a lot of time. But if you sell a product, they also want to see the product, and they don't see that in a blog post. They don't see that in a reel. So they want to also just see like good quality, high quality images of the products, because that is what they're eventually buying as well. So that's why the mix is so good, like having a little bit of the emotional part, but then also, hey, this is the bandana you should get, or this is how a dog bed looks like.
And you're doing all of this
by yourself, or you have a assistant or a team?
So we have a team, but we're combining like both businesses together. So the designers from the agency, of course, help with like photo shoots and content creation as well. So that is, of course, the lucky part that we kind of have this agency sitting there that can help. But yeah, it's like a team effort of like, okay, what should we talk about next? Like, we have Chinese New Year coming up. Shall we do a promotion? Like any discount? So yeah, it's one big company in the end that works together on that as well.
And I think the reason this works so well is because you, just like you said earlier, you never know what people want to see. You never know what's going to go viral. So it's all kind of like an experiment. And while I wouldn't call it random, but it's almost like you follow a certain direction, but that direction might be pretty broad, right?
Yeah, it's basically what we're doing with the meta ads, the performance ads. It's about testing as much as we can, and then once we see something picks up, do it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But in the end, yeah, you never really know. And I really think consistency is key, and like posting once a month or once a week. I personally think it's not enough, because you want your brand to be out there. You want to remind your followers all the time. You never know when they're ready. And also, if, you know, they recommend you to someone, it's not necessarily that they buy, but maybe friends of them.
Right.
So I think, yeah, consistency and not overthinking content, and just also being able to just, yeah, trust your gut a little bit of, hey, this could work, even though it doesn't look perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like put the perfectionism aside and...
All right, cool. So yeah, there's good strategies there. There's good tactical stuff in there. I think pretty much anyone can take these things you've said and more or less get started on launching an eco-friendly brand, which we hope more people do.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming and sharing, and that's very interesting stuff. And
We'll
So-
put the link down here.
yeah, could you say the website again?
So globally, it's kalidogwear.com. And for Indonesia, it's id.kalidogwear.com.
Okay, calidogwear.com. We'll put the link in the video, and everyone buy your dogwear, sustainable, eco-friendly from Annika.
Perfect.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. See you in the next video.
Bye.